Good evening, all of you. Can you please give me a confirmation if the audio and video are clear to you all? Please give me a confirmation in the chat. Okay, thank you all for the confirmation. Uh, if anyone has any query during the course of the session, you can put out your queries into the chat option over there. If required, I might also give you an access to unmute, but I have muted all of you as of now just to avoid disturbance. Any query you have, feel free to put out your message into the chat and I'll try to respond as many queries as possible. So with that, let us begin with the session for today. This will be approximately 1 hour long session. We'll end the lecture anywhere between 6:45, oh sorry, 5:45 or so. 5:45 or 6:45 or so, till before 7 o'clock. That's what we're going to target. Okay, so we are approximately 3 months of, we still have more than 3 months of time for the examination, and it is perfectly natural, perfectly normal to have a sense of anxiety or having a thought as to are you doing enough or not, losing a sense of direction. That is something which is very common at this point of time, and that's the reason we have scheduled this session. The main focus of this particular workshop or this particular seminar, good webinar for that matter, it would mainly be to give you a sense of direction for the preparation of the remaining 3 months of time, how to make the effective utilization of the time which is available. Now, I'm sure in the group of students who are attending this session, we have a mix of students. There are some students who have been preparing with us in the full length course from past few months. There are some students who have recently joined into the coaching. There are some students who are yet to start their coaching. There are some students who have done their self preparation till now and they're planning to get into coaching at this point of time. So I'm sure that there's a mix of students. So I would be talking about some basics also. Some of you might be aware of these points, like some basics about the syllabus and subjects. We might touch upon those areas also, which might be something known to a lot of you already. So, firstly, to begin with, so the focus is mainly to have it is mainly to strategize the preparation for the remaining 3 months of time. So that's what we are going to focus on. So to first begin with, I wanted to start with three main data points. Now, these three boxes you can see, the three main data points that are compiled over here. There are 2 points as an outcome from it. There are two takeaways from it. One is actually something which is positive. One is something a bit of concern, you can say. One is a good news, the other is kind of a concerning news. There are two takeaways. So let me start with the positive thing first. If you look at the cutoff for the past 6 years, the minimum cutoff, the lowest cutoff has been 33.7 last year. And the maximum cutoff, the highest level to which the cutoff has gone in past 6 years was this year, that is 41 and a half marks. So at the instance of or considering the cutoff marks, you can say it is not something which is very difficult. Reason being, this is cutoff marks out of 100. I'm sure you all are aware that GATE is an exam for 100 marks. Out of 100, if you are able to score 41 and a half, you can easily qualify the examination. That is as per 2024. As per 2023 cutoff, even if you are able to score 33.7, you can easily get into the you can easily qualify the GATE examination. So that is something which you can consider as good news. Reason being, it is not very difficult to score just 30 to 35% out of 100 in any examination for that matter, and also including GATE. However, the point of concern is in the remaining two data points. The next one, which we go here, this is the pie chart highlighting the number of students or percentage of students who have qualified the examination. So GATE examination 2024 close to, so the number is almost same. It has been same for last 4 or 5 years. Approximately 10,000 students write the examination for GATE architecture and planning. GATE 2024, 11,000 was the number of applicants. 11,000 plus students have applied for the examination. Close to 9,000 students have appeared for the examination, of which around 2,000 students qualified. That gives us a qualifying percentage of 22 and a half. Even though score might not look is a significant number to score on 100, but not everyone who writes the examination qualifies. What do you understand by this? From that close to 22% of the students qualified, 22 out of 100 students, or 2 out of every 10 students qualify the examination. Now, to be in those two students out of 10 students, it's not very difficult, but you need to have efforts in the right direction. That is something you need to make a note of. Now, moving further, it is not just sufficient to, now, if you are having, I'm sure, we all the participants of this particular webinar, I'm sure you have taken out this time at 6 o'clock and are appearing for this workshop only because you're serious for the examination. Or unless you're not serious, you'll not take up all these efforts. Now, when someone is serious for preparing for GATE architecture and I want to qualify, the focus is not just on qualifying the examination, but the focus should be on getting into the top colleges or top opportunities which you will have out of it, be it airport authority, if there is a PSU this year to getting into PSUs or getting into top colleges like IITs. That should be the target if you're having a dedicated preparation. Now to get those best opportunities, it is not just sufficient to qualify the examination. You have to be in the top 100 or top 200 students for that matter. So if you look at marks distribution, this also is the data. Now, after every year, GATE on their official website does publish the official data and statistics with respect to the qualifying marks and students and for the details. So this has been sourced from GATE 2024 website. It's in the information. So as per the official statistics of GATE 2024, this is for architecture, not for other branches. For GATE AR paper, of the year 2024. If you look at the marks distribution, there were 54 out of all the 9,000 candidates who have written the examination. There were 54 students who scored less than zero, having a negative mark because in GATE there is also negative marking for incorrect answers. So you can say that probably this is due to guesswork and these students probably were not into serious preparation as well. Other than that, if you look into the maximum number, where are the maximum number of students concentrated? 20 to 39. And for that, for your information, 39 is not even a qualified score. So majority of the students, as you know, have not qualified the test. So if you look into the qualifying candidates, 40 to 59, in that 20 marks of range, like for 40 to 59, those 20, 19 to 20 marks of range, there were close to 1600 candidates. So if you're preparing for GATE architecture and planning and want to get into the best opportunities out of it, you should focus on coming out of this group. You should not be in that lump of 1600 candidates. You should get ahead of them. The numbers, the marks will not be fixed every year, changes depending on the difficulty of the paper. If you are able to score 60 plus, as per last year's paper, if you're able to have last year's paper, can be considered as not something which is very difficult because the cutoff was very high. If it is a difficult paper, even with less marks, you will get a wonderful rank. But in last year's paper, if you're able to score 60 plus marks, you would have got a rank which is below 120 or around 120. That would have been your rank. You could easily get into IITs with that rank. And if you are by any chance able to score 70 plus, you will be in the top 10 candidates. That's as per the last year's statistics, changes every year. So if you are, for your information, out of these 70 plus candidates, five were students from our institute itself. They are in top. There are nine single digit ranks. Of those nine single digit ranks, five were from KP classes. They were our students who prepared with the reason why I'm talking about it is the methodology which we are going to follow, the resources which we are going to use, that is something which you can rely on, that has been proven. It's not something which we are randomly claiming. So you can use the same approach, same guidelines, same resources to follow the same path and get it. So it is a proven strategy you can consider. That's, I thought, something which I'll talk in the introduction. So for to begin with, it's not very difficult to qualify, but qualifying is not sufficient. So to and do not get demotivated at this stage. We'll talk about now getting that sense of direction in the preparation is very important for the last 3 months. So I'll guide you through how to strategize, what to prepare, how should you prepare a timetable, how to manage your time. We'll talk about all these things. But to begin with, remember your target should be 60 plus at least, or at least target for 65 plus, depending on the difficulty of the paper. So your target is not something which is unachievable. Just 65 plus. That's something which is very much doable. And if you're able to score 70 plus, then you will be getting a single digit rank as well. Considering from the past trend, 2025 paper, it is probably it would be something which is a bit of higher in difficulty level than the last year paper, because that was the maximum cutoff. So it is highly unlikely that the cutoff will go even further above this. So cutoff probably will be, generally it is around 38, 37. So that would probably that's the most probabilistic value which can be this year also. So this score would, to summarize it, 65 plus would be sufficient enough to get into top opportunities or get a best rank or get. So that's something which I wanted to begin with. So moving further, for those who have not yet started the preparation, I hope you are all aware also that we are starting a new batch from 18th of October, which will be a dedicated 3 months course with a higher intensity of classes. It will be a crash course. So you can enroll into that to take guidance from us and our team, wherein we'll be providing with all the quality resources which you require to prepare for this examination. Okay. Is the audio clear now? Okay. I think there was some sort of disruption in the connection. Do let me know whenever there's such issue. So I was telling you, for those students who are yet to start their preparation, we are starting a new crash course batch from 18th of October. You can enroll into it. You can contact the counselors at the earliest. You might be having a contact number already. You can get access to it on the YouTube channel of us as well. Reach out to us if you are yet to start your preparation and want to enroll into the crash course of us, starting from 18th of October, like I said. 18th of October is the first class for this particular class. So let's talk about the details of the topics now. Just a second. Okay, so if I talk about the topics for the examination, the official syllabus, you have general aptitude, common part, and architecture part, and planning part. There are 4 parts. Under general aptitude in the official syllabus, you have a total of 4 topics. There is verbal ability, which is basic English. You have quantitative aptitude, which is basically simple math, which includes various that data interpretation like bar graphs, pie charts, and so on. Also, numerical computation, ratios, percentages, powers, exponents, logarithmic values, and all permutation, combination. Then you have analytical aptitude, which includes questions on analogy and logic. Then you have spatial aptitude, which focuses on transformation, rotation, scale, mirror image, assembling of parts. So visualizing like folding, unfolding, 2D, 3D patterns. So that is the 4th part. These 4 topics together, general aptitude, you will be having a total weightage of 15 marks out of 100 marks. 15 marks will be from these 4 topics of general aptitude, and this will be from 10 questions. And historically, all these 10 questions have always been MCQ questions only. In GATE examination, you have multiple choice questions where one option will be correct out of 4, multiple select questions where multiple options can be correct out of 4 options, and numerical answer type question. Of these 3, general aptitude will have only multiple choice questions. There is no NAT format or MSQ format generally. At least in the till last year, never such NAT questions have been asked in general aptitude. However, as per the official brochure, it clearly states that in any section, in any part, a combination of MSQ, MCQ, and NAT can be asked. So you can expect, but at least till now only MCQ questions have been asked in general aptitude in GATE examination. Now, other than that, coming to the core topics, the 85, so 15 marks will be for general aptitude, the remaining 85 marks that would be on the core subjects of architecture and planning. Now, these 85 marks from the year 2022, a change has been introduced where you can have an option of selecting either architecture or planning. So, these 85 marks are further divided into 60 marks of common part. Maximum weightage is for this section of common part. So, that is part A, that will give you 60 marks of weightage. This will be from total of 39 questions, which includes topics of basics of architecture, planning, and design, including design standards, construction management, including estimation and also project management, environmental planning and design, which includes ecosystems, environment, and environmental pollution, urban design, landscape, and conservation, which includes the theories of urban design, landscape, types of landscape, and the types of plants and botanical names that is included in it, contours, contour analysis, conservation, levels of conservation, and all that is included in section 4. Section 5, planning process, which focuses on the basics of planning theories. Section 6 is housing, which focuses on realistic valuation and also FAR-based calculations, development controls. Actually, development controls and FAR calculations that in the official syllabus is also mentioned in urban design part. Moving further, Section 7 services and infrastructure, which includes water supply, plumbing, sewage systems, transportation basics, or fire safety, all that is included in Section 7. So these 7 sections will have a total of 39 questions with a weightage of 60 marks. The remaining 16 questions giving a weightage of 25 marks. This is where you will have a choice. Either you can select B1 that is architecture or B2 that is planning, whichever you are confident on. If you are going to select the architecture part, you will need to study or you will be expecting questions from history of architecture and contemporary architecture, building construction, building materials, and also building structures, structural systems, including shear force, bending moment, shear stress, bending stress, and also reinforced concrete truss analysis that is included in section B1.2. Section B1.3 will be having building services and sustainability, which includes climatology, lighting, acoustics, and various other building services, including water supply in buildings, plumbing in buildings, and so on. Other than that, and the planning part, if you are confident in the planning aspects and if you want to attempt this portion of planning that is B2, you'll have same number of questions, 16 questions with same weightage, 25 marks. You need to study regional and settlement planning, which are basically advanced topics with respect to the urban planning itself. Then you have planning techniques and management, which includes topics of GIS, survey, sampling, so those areas of it. And then you have infrastructure planning, which focuses mainly on the advanced transportation. So these are the areas which you need to additionally study, and that's where questions can be asked. That said, the boundaries are not rigid, even though structural systems is an architecture subject. Just in this year of paper 2024, there was a 2 marks question in the common part based on the calculations of shear force bending moment also. So you cannot consider, because I've heard many people, okay, let me leave out this subject. Never leave out any subject. Basics you need to study for all the topics, and it is very much doable. Don't think that there is less time and don't start leaving out subjects. That's the worst thing you can do in your preparation. Uh, Yes, so no, some questions of climatology, basic climate responsive design that is included in environmental planning also. So yeah, climatology questions can be asked in the common part. PTM summary, yes, PTM is in the planning portion only. But as I told you, the boundaries are not very rigid. Sometimes questions can be asked in the common part as well. But as per the official syllabus, PTM is completely in the planning part only. So that's a basic understanding of the official syllabus. However, if you look at the official syllabus, you might miss out. So, for those students, particularly those students who are preparing with us, who are in your coaching, I'm sure you have a good understanding of all the subjects. Particularly students who are not yet enrolled, let me tell you in the beginning itself, if you just look at the official syllabus and these section names, you might miss out a lot of topics. Like, for example, you will find nowhere written fire safety over here in this list. You will not find climatology written anywhere in the list. You'll not find acoustics written anywhere in this list. So these are subjects which are still asked, which are always asked in the examination. So understanding the details of every section, identifying the subjects for preparation, that in itself is a first step which you need to do in your self preparation particularly. However, for those students who have already enrolled with us or who are yet to start the crash course classes, uh, Jiju, I told you last year it was 2 marks. It's not no weightage of any subject is not fixed. We'll talk about that also, but structures the weightage was 2 marks in the common part last year's paper. So if you look into the understanding of this subject, so by considering the past pattern and also the official syllabus, uh, uh, anyone who has enrolled already, you will have a detailed list of these 24 subjects, which is already shared as a PDF. I would strongly recommend every one of you to have a printout or print on your study table, always for your reference. Throughout the course of preparation and also revision, you should have a good idea and understanding of the list of subjects. So there are 24 individual subjects which encompass the complete syllabus of common part, architecture part, and planning part. Uh, Yes, Dhruv, the detailed topics, for example, so Dhruv was telling, if you look into the details of every section, you'll find the name of all the topics. Yes, for sure, but you should be, yeah, you should not miss out even a single word of it. Reason being, you'll not find, say, lighting directly written. There's no subject of illumination or lighting written mentioned directly. It is indirectly written as visual comfort in space. So what is visual comfort? So you might miss out if you're not reading each and every point in detail. So lighting, it is written in this part of building services and sustainability. In this section, we want to point you will have a sentence of visual comfort in spaces. That is lighting and illumination basically. Similarly, acoustics, it is not written directly. It is written as acoustical comfort in spaces, something like that. So you need to read it carefully. So for your preparation, for your ease of understanding, we have this list of 24 subjects which categorizes the complete syllabus into individual topics which are not necessarily related in any particular manner. All these are unique in themselves, individual subjects they are. And in the classes also, we'll be having lectures for every subject individually. And then once we start a subject, we take it to the end and then go on to the next subject. Like for example, students who have been studying in the normal full length course with us, structures of the subject which is going on. Once the subject of structures is done, we are going into the next subject, that is architecture graphics. So there's no particular sequence you need to study. All these are individual subjects. For class 4 students, we are starting with this particular subject on 18th of October. So you will be beginning with this architecture graphics color theory topic. So individual subjects you need to study when classes are held in that manner. Having this understanding of the list of subjects is the first thing which you need to do in your preparation. Have a printout of it always with you during the course of your revision. That is very important. Now, moving on to the strategy part. How should you channelize your time? How can you make best utilization of these 3 months? And how can you get a best possible score out of it? Let us discuss those main areas, the core areas of today's discussion. Firstly, to begin with the scoring areas. Now, scoring areas as in how can you improve your score in simple terms? First and foremost, even before I tell you or identify some important topics, let me tell you in the beginning, there's no topic which is less important in the syllabus. That is something you cannot leave out. Do not leave out any topic. What do I mean by this? When I say important topics, do not think, okay, let us focus only on these topics and leave out the other. That should not be done. Let me tell you the reason also for it with an example. For example, there's the subject of fire safety. If you look into the historic weightage of the subject of fire safety for the past few years, let us say starting from the year 2014, 2014, 2015, 2016, 2017, 2018. So these 5 years, if you look into the 5 years of question paper starting from 2014 to 2018, you will find only two questions from the subject of fire safety. 5 years, just two questions with 3 marks. One question for one, there's one question of 1 mark, one question of 2 marks. One 2 marks question was asked in the year 2017. There was a single question for 1 mark also, I think, asked in 2015. So you'll find only two questions in the last 5 years or from 2014 to 2018. Now, if I say fire safety subject, from 2014 to 2018. So think of someone who was preparing for the examination to GATE 2024. So let's consider someone preparing for the exam in the year, say, GATE 2019. Someone who was preparing for 2019, when they look into the, just a second, just give me a moment, please. Just give me a second. Now, I was telling you, if imagine someone preparing for GATE 2019, if they look into the history of the subject of fire safety, they'll find that okay, in 5 years, only two questions have been asked, so let me leave out that subject. They would end up in a very difficult situation. Reason being, in the year 2019, the weightage of this subject was 4 marks. There were two questions asked just from this minor topic of fire safety in the year 2019. So, so that's how it is. Even any minor subject also can have a huge number of questions. There was a numerical also from fire safety in the year 2019 itself. Other than that, moving further, in the year 20, so someone considering okay, fire safety a very minor subject, but with a huge weightage, if they consider okay, this is very important, and someone preparing for 2020, they would find that there was no question asked from this subject at all. In the year 2020 also, in the year 2021 also, there was no question. In the year 2022 also, there was no question asked from this subject. So there's no particular, this is just an example. This is just one example. There are many such examples you'll find in the past pattern if you have a detailed analysis. So no subject is something which you can leave out completely. even in terms of say the common part, architecture part, planning part, do not leave out. Okay, do not think, okay, let me leave out the planning part completely, or let me leave out architecture part completely. That is something which is a very dangerous thing you can do in your preparation. At least the basics you need to study for every subject, every topic, because the boundaries are not rigid. Like I told you, structures, numerical from it was asked in the common part, even though if it is an architecture subject as per the official syllabus, just in last year. So that's something which you have to. So before I, because generally when I say these are the important topics, I have observed some students who consider that, okay, let us leave out the other topics. That is something which you should not do. So I thought I'll clarify that in the beginning itself. So the first point itself under scoring areas, with no subject is less important, you can say. No subject. You cannot leave out, do not leave out any subject completely. That's the first thing which we need to begin with. Secondly, scoring areas, general aptitude. That so if someone asks me if I'm preparing for gate architecture and planning or any gate exam for that matter, and if you want to find out one topic or one subject which will be the most important or which can give you a boost in your score, that for sure will be general aptitude. You might think, okay, general aptitude, that is not something which is even from core topics. But yes, this subject is something which is very important and scoring, mainly because it is not at all difficult, even with zero preparation, even without having any preparation for this subject. If you just randomly open last year's paper and have a look at the general aptitude questions, you will easily be able to solve at least two or three questions directly without preparation. I'm talking. So if you have good preparation, no, Adam, there is no limit on minimum score for general aptitude as such. For any section also, there's no minimum qualifying mark for anything. But this is something which is very much in scoring, and you'll have a total weightage of 15 marks. Half of your qualifying mark itself, you can easily get it from general aptitude just by solving those 10 questions. There is no sequence also like in the examination when you're writing the exam. It's not necessary that you write or attempt general aptitude questions in the beginning itself. You can solve those questions at the end. You can skip through or you can move to further questions and come back to these questions later on. It's up to you. But those 10 questions giving you a value of 15 marks, that is something which is very much good. Now, how to handle, how to prepare this particular subject in itself, we'll talk about that and time management. So two main areas, coding areas and then time management. These are the two areas which I thought I'll discuss on today. So other than once we are done with the discussion of the scoring areas, I'll talk about the time management and I'll tell you how to manage or how to study general aptitude particularly. I'll have a discussion on it. But remember that it's a scoring area. Do not leave out, do not underestimate, do not forget that in your preparation. That is something which I wanted to tell you. Number three, third point in identifying the scoring areas or improving the score is with respect to the importance of numerical questions in the gate examination. Which part is covered by in cards? I'll talk about that also, Abhishek. Just wait for some time. I'll address your question at the end when we talk about the study material resources. However, if I forget to address, do let me drop me a reminder. Right? So, scoring areas, the point number three is with respect to the importance of numerical answer type questions. By any chance, does anyone know what was the weightage of numerical questions in GATE 2024? That's been almost similar for the past few years. But on an average, how many marks do you think you will get from NAT questions? Akash says 22 marks. Close enough. It was 24 marks in the year 2024. So you can expect or you will be getting a total of 24. This is not fixed again for your information. It can change from year to year. Like in 2023, it was a bit less. 2023, it was only 16 marks. 2024 it was 24 marks. 2022 also it was 24 marks. So if you go ahead, go back in history, there were also cases where 36 marks was also found for the weightage of numerical answer questions. But most of after the change in the pattern, after the introduction of multiple select questions, the weightage has been around 24 marks generally. So this is the weightage of these 24 marks. 15 marks will be from common part itself. So someone is asking about URD preparing guidelines in NBC. I'll talk about the resources in some time. So as far as the scoring area of numerical answer, so these 24 marks, these are going to be something which you need to say give your 100% and get maximum out of it. So ultimately, when you get your when you're done with your examination, the areas which generally top rankers do well would be in general aptitude and numerical. That's a generalization. However, there are always exceptions. But in your preparation, these are the areas which you can have a good efforts in preparation. The only reason is the so in theoretical part, particularly in topic in specializations like architecture, you can get questions from any random area, even if so anyway, even last time, if I give you the example of 2024, the first ranker scored 77 marks. 2024, All India rank 1. The score was 77 marks out of 100. 77 out of 100. So even the first rankers did not did not score those 23 marks. Even when I got my first rank in gate architecture, my score was 79 point something, so 80 marks approximately. So close to the same. So it's not everyone writing the examination will be in a state where they cannot answer all, particularly in the theoretical part. So scoring area ultimately becomes a numerical area, numerical portion, because if you're understanding the basic concepts, having sufficient practice on the numerical areas, it is very easy to capitalize and score, push your score in that area. So, so of these 24 marks, 15 marks will be from the common part itself. So that's about the that's the third point. So let us now identify. Someone already asked what are the topics from which numericals can be asked. So that's the reason I thought I put it under scoring areas. So let us try to identify now. So a huge concentration of 15 marks will be all the numericals of common part. Now, if you look into, let us go back to the syllabus now. If you look at the syllabus of common part, history of architecture, design, planning, and design standards. Probably that is an area which is something where questions, numerical questions particularly, can readily be asked. However, there are instances where questions were numericals were asked from this topic also in 2024, like something based on the calculation of water closets, for instance. However, that probably can be related to estimation subject too. So there are some areas from which you will for sure get. So basically, from the common part, you will be getting a total of 15 marks. That will be seven numericals. So from this portion, basically, there will be seven numerical answer type questions in the common part. Actually, seven plus one, it will be eight. Seven questions for 2 marks. There will be there was one numerical in last year's paper for 1 mark also. So there are eight numerical answer type questions in the common part. Those eight numericals were asked from these seven sections. Now, there are only some areas where numericals for sure with the answer can be answered, has the answer, have been answered past. One is construction management. There is no paper in the last 2 years where there is no 2 marks question from project management topic. Second, estimation. Estimation is also included in. So from section 2 of the common part, you for sure will get 4 marks of weightage from numericals only, not even considering the theoretical part. So under the important areas, scoring areas, remember that you should maximize your score on those 15 marks of the numericals in the common part. And there are very few numerically important topics in the common portion, including topics like project management. So where you'll at least get one numerical on the network diagram. So understanding the network diagrams and calculation of total float, free float, independent float, interfering float, that is very important for your examination. Other than that, estimation part and also valuation, realistic valuation, which also is included in the common part itself. These are the areas from which one question, and again, one more very important numerical area is housing. Under housing, calculations related to HIG units, MIG units, and LIG units, housing units based calculation, FAR and density based calculation. These are the areas from which it is almost 100% that you will get a question from these areas. So it's very easy to identify. Now, I might give you a list, I might help you identify some areas, but it is always best that you do this exercise yourself. You need to analyze. Past GATE papers are easily available on the official website of GATE 2025. under the download section. Just open the download section of GATE 2025 official website. You'll find the past question papers starting from the year probably 20 or 12 or so. You can easily download all those question papers. Spending time on past GATE papers is the most important thing in the preparation. Even though you're studying topic wise, do not underrate the importance of past GATE papers. Solve by the end of your preparation. You should have solved all the possible GATE papers of the past, at least last 10 years. So, when you look into the past GATE papers, you will identify, and this is after the change in pattern. Because before the change in pattern, there was a common question paper with no common part, but now that you're having common part, these are the areas out of those eight numericals. One numerical for sure will be from project management, one numerical will be for sure from estimation. And I'm again telling you that the probability is almost 100%. Not, I cannot assure you that you for sure will get 100% there's a chance that you'll get a question. There are always exceptions in the gate pattern. Nothing is fixed in the paper, but it is highly unlikely that you will not get a numerical from these areas. Those areas, numericals, you'll need to focus absolutely with your 100% dedication. Amar, absolutely yes. There have been past students of ours who start with 3 to 4 months of time is an ideal time for preparing for GATE. If you're having more than that, the efforts more than that, that for sure will improve your chance of getting a wonderful rank. But getting a good score with just 3 to 4 months of preparation is absolutely doable for GATE exam. So don't get demotivated that you're starting late. Obviously, those who start late will need to put in more efforts. There's no shortcut. There's no shortcut for GATE examination. 3 months is a sufficient. 3 months, 4 months, 2 months is a sufficient enough time. It is doable with that level of preparation. But for sure, you need to have a more dedication, higher level of efforts. For sure, we'll talk about the time management and how much time to spend on your preparation. It depends at personal level how well you're going to, how effectively you're utilizing your time, and also when you're starting your preparation. Based on that, the number of hours of study per day will change. But it is doable in 3 months. So this is with respect to the scoring areas. I thought I'll touch upon these aspects. Do not leave out any subject. Just to summarize quickly, do not leave out any subject completely. Even if you don't like some subject, don't. So you should not have that mentality. This is my favorite subject. This is a subject which I don't like. So you should. No one will. So you should partner with that liking or not liking a subject, particularly for competitive exams. Do not leave out any subject completely, and do not underestimate the importance of general aptitude. Thirdly, improve your score in the numerical areas. If you're weak in numericals, put in double efforts in that particular area. That is something which is very important. And I have also helped you identify some topics which you can have a special emphasis on in your preparation. Uh, Sure, we'll come to that also, Tanya. Tanya is saying, "Itne architects, itne buildings, hai, how shall I study all these?" For sure, there are ways to do it. Memory cards is one of the techniques. That's the reason we have prepared using cards. But yeah, I'll talk about that also, architects and the works and how to deal with it particularly. We'll talk about it. Coming to the time management of your preparation now, that's again the most one of the most important thing and one of the most so for my past 8 years of experience with students for GATE examination, this is something which I find the most concerning thing for students preparing for GATE exam. Most of the students come to me and ask, okay, they give up particularly at this particular time span, 3 months, 4 months, जब बचा है exam के लिए, they develop this thought कि अच्छा we probably cannot do it. It is absolutely doable in 3 months, but time management becomes most crucial aspect at this point of time. How much amount of, I'm not going to talk about how many hours of preparation to study. Hours to study is not what I will answer, because how many hours to study, that depends on factors like how well how effective your study time is, or how well are you at grasping things, how well or how what good quality or what quality of resources you are using for your preparation. That also matters. Someone is using a huge number of textbooks for preparation without focused studying from particular which are particularly designed for competitive exams. Probably you will need more time. So how many hours to study, that depends on the guidance you're getting, the resources you're using. the level of the space at which you're grasping things, and when did you start your preparation. All these play a role. Depending on that, you should decide yourself how many hours you need to spend. But a simple answer to it will be do the maximum, given maximum possible hours, whatever you think. So, for example, let us say you're working somewhere and you're having a job from morning till evening, say 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock. What is the maximum time you're able to give it after that? How many hours of sleep is minimum sleep you want? How much is the minimum time you want as for other activities? And how can you maximize your input of time at weekends and also in the night duration or early in the morning? How to maximize? That is something which you need to think. If you're going to college, how to maximize? Can you take up 1 or 2? Can you identify 1 or 2 hours of time during the lunch break or so? So every single hour becomes important. Try to maximize whatever is the maximum duration you think you will put, that you have to give in for your hours of study. And the most important thing will be regularity. I cannot emphasize less on this. Studying 10 hours one day, 1 hour on the next day, half an hour on the third day, 10 hours again on the fourth day, that is not something which will work. Try to have a regular amount of time invested for your preparation. If you're able to give more number of hours in the weekend, that is perfectly fine. But on weekdays, also maintain the regularity. Even if it is 2 hours, that has to be regular. Every day you need to give in those. So that dedication is very important for your examination, for your preparation. Uh, So yeah, we'll come to that. You should focus on the revision part. So your amount of time you're investing, that will be more towards revision if you're already done with your subjects and study of all the topics with respect to classes subject wise. If you're done with it, your focus should be on revision. So we'll talk about revision as well. So the regularity, giving the number of, some amount of time every day, that is most important. Now coming to the study or whatever number of hours, I told you you should maximize these number of hours. So what should you do in the number of hours you have? Like I said, the maximum number of hours you're able to spend on an average is 5 hours per day. What should you do in these 5 hours? Let me focus on that. I told you I'll not give you the number of the hours, but I'll tell you about what to do in that amount of time. The steady time, whatever you're able to, maximum amount of time, whatever you're able to take out for your preparation, that should be into two categories. That will be divided mainly into two parts, two categories. One is study of the ongoing subject. When I say ongoing subject, basically there are 24 subjects per overall gate examination, and every one of you, by the end of your preparation, you should be done with all the 24 subjects. So subject-wise study of the ongoing subject, single subject at a time. First subject done, second subject done. That you need to do for all the 24 subjects. Now this can be done on your self-study or can be done using the classes, and this is possible, like Sonu, I think it was Sonu, like Sonu was pointed out. There are some students who are already done with the classes for all the 24 subjects. So probably 1 or 2 subjects are left out for some of you. So studying the ongoing subject is the first important category of the time which you're going to spend. This, for some of you, might already be done. So for you, there will be only one category, that is revision, or the aspect where you need to give in time on regular basis. So one is study of the ongoing subject. This can be on self-study basis or through the classes. And I'm sure all of you might be at some level. There are some students who are doing the self-study from last 4 or 5 months. You might have been done with say 10 subjects already. There are 10 more subjects left out. There are students who have joined into class a few months ago and there are 1 or 2 subjects done. There are 17 or 18 topics left out. There are some students who are almost done with all the 24 subjects. So you might be at different levels in this particular study, but ensure that within these 3 months of time which is left out, even if you're spending 10 to 15 days for revision completely, within the next available 3 months of time, you should be done with your study of the ongoing subjects, all the 24 subjects. This is something which you need to do on daily basis. So if you're attending classes, there will be 2 to 3 hours of classes every day. So this is something where you can leave out the study onto us. We will teach you in those 2 to 3 hours. That will be the study of the ongoing subject. That is one category. Other than that, the other category wherein mainly it is completely self-study basis, which is not particularly focused on subject-wise study. So the gate examination, there are two types of topics. There are some topics which you need to, which are effectively done individually at a time, like subject wise. Like for example, if I'm studying climatology, I'll take up some standard book of climatology, some standard chapter from National Building Code, and study that complete subject, and I'll be done with that subject for that time. I'll move on to the next subject. Let us say water supply. I'll open UIDPFI guidelines. I'll study from some standard textbook. I'll study from say NBC the guidelines of water supply, and then I'll be done with that subject. So there are subjects which are effectively done individually at a time, but under self-study, there are some topics for your preparation of GATE examination which are more effectively done when you're doing it in a regular manner. General aptitude is one of those. So under self-study, the amount of time you're going to dedicate other than the study of ongoing subject, the first one should be on general aptitude. Now this part becomes important for all those students who are already done with the classes for some or almost all the subjects. You should give more emphasis for the 3 months on the self-study part, where this is on daily basis. You need to solve some questions of general aptitude. I told you general aptitude, even though there are classes for it, it is more effectively done in terms of revision. Revision that to regularly on daily basis. I told you regularity is important. Daily, whatever amount of time you're having, dedicate at least 20 minutes or half an hour, particularly for the subject of general aptitude by solving questions. Where should you solve the questions from? From the past papers, from past GATE exam question papers, not only of architecture. Take the past GATE papers of mechanical engineering, civil engineering, electronics, or electricals. You can take up because the general aptitude syllabus is same for all the branches. The question paper is of same standard for all the engineering branches. You can take up any question paper and solve the question. However, there will be overlapping also for sure. For example, on the day of the GATE architecture exam, let us say there are some students writing mechanical engineering paper. They will also get the same general aptitude questions. So at a given time slot, whatever branch or whatever department people are writing the GATE exam, they'll get the same general aptitude question paper. So you'll see an overlapping part. So for example, let us say on 1st February, there is GATE architecture in the morning session, for example. And there are civil engineering people also in that session. They will get the same general aptitude question paper. So, daily basis, solve at least say 5 or 6 questions on daily basis, whatever amount of time you are able to give. Now, there's no fixed duration. If you're weak in general aptitude, you need to put in more efforts in this subject on daily basis. Solve questions. Solve GATE questions, that will be even more important. So regularly solve past GATE questions from different papers, irrespective of what subject is ongoing. That is something which you need to do on daily basis. Second important thing which you need to do on daily basis is studying standard documents. Standard documents like National Building Code, URDPFI guidelines, or some IS codes which are taught to you in the classes. So during the course of your lectures, the faculty will point out some IS codes, standard IS codes for brick. Let us say there's IS 1077 for brick one claim. There will be IS code for elevators as well. So IS codes also is important. Standard documents. This also is something which you need to do on regular. Irrespective, also it is possible that some part of NBC you might have already covered when you're studying a particular subject. That is fine, you might have already been done with it, but on daily basis, you should make out a schedule that okay, daily for 20 minutes or half an hour, I will study the definitions from NBC. So again, from these documents, what should you study from these standard documents? You should either focus on the standards and the definitions. These two things. Like, for example, in NBC, there are standards like what should be the minimum size of a habitable room, what is the minimum dimension for a toilet, what is the minimum clearance for a staircase, what is the minimum tread and what should be the minimum tread and the maximum rise of a staircase. All these are standards given in NBC. Standards, definitions, terminology. In every chapter of the National Building Code, you will find terminology, at least 2 or 3 pages of definitions you will find in any subject. If for example, you are taking solid waste management, which is in part 8 of NBC volume 2 of 2016. If you look into part 8, there's a section particularly on solid waste management and services. So in that solid waste management, there are 2 or 3 pages of definitions. You should be done with the study of all those definitions. Direct questions from those definitions have been asked in past gate exam. If I give you the example of elevators, escalators, the first definition of terminology of elevators chapter in the National Building Code, automatic rescue device, that was a 1 mark question in GATE 2019, if I'm not wrong. So you do get direct questions from the terminology, and that is something which you need to do on daily basis. That is also very important. So definitions, standards, irrespective of if you're already done with it when you're studying a subject, you need to do it on daily basis. This way, because again, many students also have this question. We are doing everything perfectly fine with respect to classes, but we feel as if we are forgetting something जो हमने 2-3 महीने पहले पढ़ा. Before 2 or 3 months, whatever subject we studied, I feel like I forgot that completely. The only solution to that is revision. Revise standards on daily basis, definitions on daily basis. You will keep on recalling things. You will automatically develop that link or a web in your mind, at back of your mind, that will boost your confidence. It will help you retain things in a better manner. Third, revision of already studied topics, of past topics. Revision of past topics as in irrespective of the ongoing subject, you should also have a revision plan in parallel to it. There will be a dedicated 10 to 15 days of revision in the end. Once you're done with all the subjects, last 10 to 15 days, you need to revise things again. But even at this point of time, along with the ongoing subject, now if you're someone who, again, told you it is not same for everyone. If you're starting your preparation with this crash course at this point of time, your emphasis will be more towards the ongoing subject, and you need to align all these things with respect to ongoing subject. But if you have already completed your preparation and classes for most of the topics, your emphasis will be over here. So it depends on which part, when did you start your preparation with respect to emphasizing things. However, revising past topics, whatever class notes you have maintained, revise those things on regular. So take a printout. I told you this list of 24 subjects. You should have a list of the 24 subjects for your reference or as a printout on your study desk, and highlight on this. You need to mark, okay, I'm done with the revision of this course. So every subject you need to revise things. Revision also is something which should go in parallel, mainly revising from your handmade notes. That is very important. At every level, it is important to maintain a proper running notes, be it in classes or even in your self-study. Whenever you attend my class, I always make a point that I write down the definitions and also ask you to write down into your notes. And all of the faculty also, they do take care that you write notes, because notes taking is very important in preparation for competitive exams. Even in your self-study, you need to maintain a proper running notes. So that's revision part. And your self-study revision also is something which is very important. Other than that, on daily basis, you should also focus on the in cards. If you're enrolled with us in the study material, you will have a dedicated set of memory cards. At least one card per day is something which you need to do. Sometimes two cards per day. You need to study one or two cards per day on daily basis. This mainly focuses on topics like which you need to retain and remember, including standards, architects and the works, planners and their theories, books and their authors. All these things you need to retain the information which is provided. All these things are provided in cards. 1 to 2 cards per day is something which you need to do. So take for this. Regularly, 20 to 30 minutes for general aptitude, 20 to 30 minutes for studying the standard documents, half an hour to 1 hour for revising already done past topics, 20 minutes for in cards per day. This is something which you need to do on daily basis. You can multiply at 20 is bare minimum. If you are having more time, it will be 20 into 3 or 20 into 4. Whatever amount of time you put in, that will be better. So that's with respect to the second category. So plan out your study in this manner. First, see what is the maximum time you can give. Allocate some time for ongoing subject. Remaining on an ongoing subject, it includes classes, homeworks, practice sheets, study material, because you will get study material, you will have classes and practice sheets. All these things you need to do for ongoing subjects. So this itself will take you 3 to 4 hours of time. The remaining 1 to 2 hours of time. So ideal amount, if you're starting your preparation for these 3 months, ideal amount of time you need to spend at least on regular basis on an average will be 6 to 7 hours at least. If you're able to do that, there is no say scope of feeling that you are left out in your preparation. So that's about the study plan time management. Uh, Give it the maximum number of hours you can. That's the only way you can go about. So to plan a revision, revising things, revision is never done from textbooks. Revision is never done by opening NBC. Revision is never done by opening a study material book. Revision is always done from your notes. That's the reason you call it as revising things. Otherwise, it becomes study. If you're opening NBC or study material, it becomes ongoing study again. Something can be called as revision only when you're doing it from your handmade notes. It can be sticky notes, it can be papers, it can be notebooks, something handwritten, or at least something highlighted. It can be printouts with highlighted things also. For example, you need not write all the NBC definitions. Probably you take out the terminology part of NBC, probably might have taken a printout of it. While studying, you might have highlighted some important things, important standards. That for sure can be a part of your revision. So revision is done from your notes or printouts which are highlighted, particularly for standard documents and IS codes. Don't waste your time by writing all the definitions. You can use a highlighter and highlight NBC and IS codes for your self-study. So notes during the preparation, that is something which is very important. And if when you're doing your revision, also maintain a short notes out of it. Once you're done, for example, I have already studied history of architecture. While revising from my handmade notes, I will make a short notes or bullet points out of it. On an average, it's like one A4 sheet. By the end of your revision, you should have at least 24 A4 sheets with you. One A4 sheet for once. There are 24 subjects, one A4 sheet for every subject. That is short notes, which will be helpful for you for your last day revision. That becomes important. So other than that, no one should leave out even a single pass gate question. All the pass gate papers you should have solved by the end of your preparation. Make sure you do that and have a good amount of time spent on mock tests. All the students who are enrolled into a regular batch and also crash course or also in upcoming batches will have access to at least 8 to 10 mocks. All those mock tests you should have been done by the end of your preparation. That is very important. So that's how you need to plan your revision, and you have these resources already with you. Anyone enrolled into all the batches, you have either soft based on which course you're enrolled into, it will be either hard copy or soft copy of these books, and you also have the in cards with you. Ensure you make utilization of all these resources. Every single page you should have read by the end of your preparation. So that's, I think, the session about. I think I've covered most of the points which I thought I'll cover. If you have any particular query or concern, you can put out a question into the chat and I'll address your questions. And I see already there are some queries, so let me take up those first. Uh, Archita, will there be a dedicated time for mock test? Yes, Archita, you will get the first mock test probably in the month of November or December, if I'm not wrong. So last 2 months is what you can spend for mock tests. That's when we'll start activating the mock tests also for your test series portal. Till then, you can practice the subject-wise tests. How to cover every building and their architects with present. Tanya, so to answer that, you should not take it as a load. Don't look at architects and the works in itself as a single subject. Develop an interest. Be curious on learning about new buildings, new architects, upcoming trends. Be updated with who is getting the Pritzker Award every year for last few years. So it should be a sort of interest or research based on interest rather than preparing or by hearting things for examination. That's the best way to go. So look into the important buildings, famous architects in India. So one advice from my end would be when you're studying architects in the works, ensure that you divide into international architects and Indian architects both. In INCARS, it is color coded and divided into both because there will be at least one question particularly on Indian architects and the works also in the examination. So you need to cover, don't forget about, so if you're just focusing on Pritzker Award winning architects, you might end up leaving all the Indian architects because there's only one Indian architect who got Pritzker Prize till now. Be with Uchi, right? So don't be in that. You need to cover famous Indian architects and the works also. So look for famous award-winning buildings and architects in recent times and also in past, both in India and at an international level. That's how you need to do it for architects and the works. And also learn about various styles, different styles of building, different materials used in building, different architects. So it should be a sort of research from your end rather than by hearting things. What about students who completed? So I already addressed your query. How should your preparation be if you're already done with your preparation of classes? Negative marking, Tanya, only MCQ questions. There are three types of questions, MCQ, MSQ, and AT. Only MCQ questions will have negative marking. MCQ questions are those where only one option will be correct. MSQ, that is multiple select question or numerical question, has no negative marking. In multiple choice question, whatever weightage of the question is, one third of it will be negative marking if you have an incorrect answer. If you leave a question, there is no negative marking. So that's about the negative marking in GATE exam. Is it allowed to write other branch gate paper? Uh, Adam, so there is a recommended subject combination. Like for people with BArch, Bachelor's in Architecture, you can either write architecture paper or civil engineering paper or both. So you can write civil engineering paper as well if you wish. If you're from civil engineering background, then you need to write civil engineering paper, and there are some other options like environment and all. So depends. There's a on the in the gate brochure you have that information of subject combination for architects. Civil engineering and gate paper architecture paper can be written for planners also. It is same. So you can check on the from the official brochure. I think that answers your question, Adam. Kushal has a question. Uh, yeah. So I'm done with the session, Kushal. So we can leave. For those students who are having a class at 7 o'clock, you can leave. We are done with the session. If you have any query, you can put it into the chat. From NBC, important topics. Terminology of every chapter is important. Other than that, in volume 1, part 3 and part 4 are very important. Development control regulations and fire safety. Other than that, in volume 2, part 8 is very important, services. So these are some broad areas, but you need to cover the terminology of every chapter. Part 3 and 4 of volume 1, part 8 of volume 2 of NPC, these are very important. In part 8, there are multiple sections, all the sections you need to cover. Uh, Negative marking, I already talked about it, Shashti. Negative marking as in you'll get minus marks when you write something wrong. Particularly in MCQ, you have that. Which part do in cards cover? Abhishek, I think I did answer those questions. Architects and works, landscape types, books and their authors, standards, and also trees, botanical names and characteristics of plants. All these are covered in cards. Uh, can you please go back to the 24? Couldn't see the last two. Okay, so can do that for you. You might already have the PDF of it. If you have enrolled into the classes, this is the first thing you will get as a message from me. You get the list, take a printout of it and have a reference of it. PTM general aptitude, those are the last two. Can you join KP? Yes, Mega. You can call our number 9560252666. They'll guide you on the upcoming batch. Can you please explain? Summit, so these are individual subjects which are a part of syllabus, like climatology. You will not find acoustics written specifically, but it is a part of some section of the official syllabus. Similarly, so these are just the list of subjects which are a part of your syllabus. Uh, Does paper CBT look like JE pattern, Adam? So on the official website of GATE, they will activate mock test. A few months before the examination, it will actually be a test of the last year. Last year's question paper will be uploaded as a mock test on the GATE website. We will let you know, we'll put out a message on our social media platforms once that is live. You can try and access the platform and get an understanding of the interface over there. Other than that, you can also subscribe to the mock tests of ours. You'll get the same interface in a mock test series as well, which is allocated to all our students who are enrolled into any of our batch, irrespective of crash course or normal course. Uh, can you please give more detail about part B1 and B2? Abhishek, so B1 is architecture, B2 is planning. It's basically the division of the topics. Just a second. Okay, so part B1 and B2, this is mainly done because probably people planning background, they will not study history of architecture and structures and building construction. So just to give that advantage of studying their own subjects, this was done in the gate paper. So architecture and planning, depending on your specialization, you can select. However, there's no rule as to which you have to select. If you are from architecture background, you can also select planning as well. There's only one college where IIT Kharagpur, if you want to do MR, it is mandatory to select B1, that is architecture part. No other master's degree, there is a special. Like if you want to do M-Plan, you can attempt architecture part and do M-Plan in IIT, both the IITs, Kharagpur and UK. But for MR at Kharagpur, there's a rule that you have to select B1. That's the only distinct course, particularly, which specializes the selection of a particular part. I think that answers the question, Abhishek. Naman has a question. Is there a way to shortlist general aptitude question of past gate of subjects other than gate AR? Yes, Naman, you will get the past papers of all the specializations on the gate website. You can download the first 10 questions will be general aptitude questions. It will not be mixed up. It will be written in the heading. These are general aptitude questions. Then you'll have engineering mathematics, which is not in architecture, but for other branches, you have first 10 questions generally or last 10 questions. It will be written in the heading. So you need not separately find out and shortlist them. It will be in separate category itself. In question, will it be specified? Sam, absolutely yes. It will be mentioned if it is MSQ, and mainly you can also distinctly identify in MCQ in multiple choice questions. You will have these radio buttons A, B, C, D. Any one you can select only. In multiple select questions, the options will have square box. You can select multiple options. So that's how it is in gate exam. Also, it will be written in the question itself. This is MCQ, MCQ. In the heading itself, it will be written. I think that answers your question, Sam. Approximate number of MSQ questions in exam analyzing different years. Dheeraj, it keeps on changing every year. Like in 2023, the number was slightly higher. Uh, I'm not, I cannot recall the exact number. You can look into it because heading will be provided MSQ. These are the questions. So you can check the official question paper and have a look at it. There's no fixed number, however, every year it changes. Uh, can we get consolidated NVC for gate point of view? Lloyd. Lloyd, once you download a KP Gate Classes mobile app, this is the logo you'll find. The link of our app will also be provided in the description of all our YouTube videos. So if you look into, just look for this logo of KP Classes. Download this app. There is a free resources batch over there. In the courses, you'll find free resources. Both the volumes of NBC and all other important documents for GATE exam are all provided for free on our mobile app. So just download a KP GATE classes mobile application, and the link for which will be in the description of all our YouTube videos. You can access all the free resources over there, NBC, IS codes, and everything. UIDPFI guidelines, all those are provided. I think that answers your question, Lloyd. So which parts are important from both volume of NBC? So I told you the important parts, part 3 and 4 of volume 1. So let me just mention over here for NBC. And everything is important, but specifically part 3 and part 4 of NBC volume 1. That is development control regulations and fire safety. And then part 8 of volume 2, which is building services. These are very important. Other areas also you should not leave out. At least the theoretical definition terminology part you can just cover once. Uh, Online PDFs are available, Akshay, for that. You can also access the PDFs on a mobile app. Which part do in cards cover? Abhishek, I did answer. In which section? It is a combination, Abhishek, not a particular section. It covers some areas of multiple sections. Like it covers some part of section B1.1. It covers some part of landscape, which is section 4. It covers some part of section 1, that is standards. It covers some part of, say, standards from every section, including fire safety. So it is a combination. It's not like in cards covers this section. ऐसा नहीं बता सकते. But majorly it covers architects and the works and history of architecture. Architects and the works can also be asked in the common part and the basics of architecture. So all that is covered in cards. Could you please repeat, is there any negative marking in NAT type? Aditi, no. There is no negative marking for NAT questions. How to enroll this course and how much I need to pay? Tanya, you can get in touch with the counselors. 9560252666. That's the number. If I'm not wrong, it will be mentioned. You can just find out and it's over here. You can contact the counselors. They'll help you out with the enrollment process and all further details. You can get in touch with us. Will there be subjective part as well? Archita, no. There is no subjective part in GATE exam. Opportunities in GATE architecture, general insights. So Adam, that in itself is a very lengthy part, but you can check out our YouTube channel. We do have post-GATE counseling session. You can check out that video. You'll have an idea on the opportunities. There are videos on that area in our YouTube channel. You can check once. Architecture people have option in MS programs in building technology. Absolutely, yes, Indu. Building technology, building construction management, all these are open for architects, even in MS, even in US. Can we get government jobs? Nothing, yeah, it depends on the openings. Generally, Airport Authority of India records through GATE exam. So whenever there's a notification, you can apply it through that. Can you please tell which topic to start, finish? Rishita, there's no particular order, but I would just suggest you can start with smaller subjects in the list because that will boost up your confidence that okay, we've done this number of subjects. You can complete ecosystems, you can probably complete HVAC, fires, safety, elevators. These are very minor subjects. Quickly you can cover those topics. So if you're doing that, it will boost up your confidence. Okay, we're done with 5 out of 24. So that is a general way you can go about it. But it's up to you. There's no particular sequence. You can start with your subjects which are more interesting for you also, right? Any guidelines for institutions regarding eligibility? Lakshmi already talked about it. Only IIT Kharagpur, MR Sustainable Architecture. For that course, you have to select B1. For all other courses, you can select any part. There is no mandate on it. Adam, someone subjective paper matlab descriptive writing with pen and paper. So GATE is a completely computer based test, right? So I told that there is no pen and paper based subjective exam. That's what I meant when I was answering subjective. Chalo. So that is all for today. Thank you everyone. Yes, Vaishnavi, all what is important for GATE exam will be covered in the course, including for aptitude also. All what is important that will be covered in the course for sure. PhD after BArch. Sandra, you can. So if you are planning for research or academic posts, for sure you can pursue PhD as well, for which GATE also is mandatory. So I think that will be all for today. Thank you everyone for being so kind to take out time and attending this session. I hope it was helpful for you. Have that seriousness, put in your dedicated time for preparation. And just like last year, having 5 students with single rank, I want the same this year also with our students. So put in effort, 100% effort from your end. And we are always here to guide you at any point you get stuck. You can always reach out to us and we'll guide you through it. Thank you.
KP Classes. Dedicated to excellence.